signature program, Seed 20. If you've never attended Seed 20, each year over the course of 2 months, a class of 20 nonprofit participants receives coaching on how to succinctly and powerfully tell their story. These efforts culminate in C20 on Stage, a high energy event where 10 members of the class compete to win cash awards by making 3-minute pitches to a panel of judges and a community audience of over 800. Like many nonprofits in Charlotte, our programming was interrupted by the pandemic. However, that allowed us the opportunity to reflect on 9 years of C20 participants and the work, collaborations, and impact that they continue to make in the Charlotte community. For this season, we had applications from all 9 years of programming and have enjoyed the engagement with so many of them. Our goal for this season was to meet the nonprofits where they are and provide them the opportunity to create a video that's unique to their organization's story while also supporting their mission. The organizational leadership worked with our videography team and coaches to design and create the video that they feel best meets the needs of their organization. While we always wish we could be in person, we're thrilled to provide you this closer look at our alumni and their updated nonprofit stories this year. We look forward to the return of the stage in 2022, fingers crossed. So thank you for the ongoing commitment for our sponsors. Without them, none of this is possible. Re-Emprise Fund, Ally Bank, Cardinal Innovations Healthcare, McGuire Woods, and Beacon Partners. Also, a huge thank you to our Social Venture Partners Steering Committee for this season, our lead partner, Debbie Darden, who you'll hear from a little bit later, Jennifer Davis Martin, Scott Brennan, and Michelle Amoroso. A quick note that our event this evening going forward is being recorded, and we welcome you to share it out with your networks after the event. So our plan for tonight is to meet 3 of the 9 selected nonprofits. We're going to view their video premieres. We're going to have time with each of them to discuss their organization and provide you the opportunity to ask questions at the end of all the presentations. So, on the heels of International Women's Day this week, we have 3 strong women here in Charlotte who are dedicated to uplifting the lives of others in our community. So without further ado, I'm excited to introduce our second cohort.
Thank you, bye.
Lynn Marilla with Eagle Rock Camp, Alyssa Shepard with Girl Talk Foundation, and Shannon Houlihan with Paraguide. As I mentioned, you will have the opportunity to ask them questions at the end of the presentation. Just remember to type your questions in the chat as we go along. Before we start videos, we are getting quite a bit of feedback from different ones that do not have, attendees that do not have their selves muted. If you could just take a quick moment and ensure that you are muted. And that'll allow everyone to be able to view the videos when we get ready to stream them. I'll give you guys just a second.
Right, but because we are muted.
Tanya Rogers or Tanya?
Yes.
So the guy whose cell phone just rang is not on mute. If you could please go on mute, it would be great. Thanks.
Credit in order to establish a.
Yes, Tanya.
All right, Scott, I think I have that.
Okay, great, thanks.
I think we're all set there. So we're gonna go ahead and begin. So first up is Eagle Rock Camp, class of 2013, coached by Lorena Eastman.
We should be muted now.
I get asked a lot, why did I start Eagle Rock? It's always an interesting question to answer. It is a culmination of the story of my life. And on December 23rd, 2010, God tapped me on the shoulder and said, I want you to do this. Our intent was to help the warrior, the veteran, and the active duty servicemen and women, we quickly discovered that the entire family had to engage because the family got wounded together. We see marriages restored. We see them walk away with renewed hope. We measure hope, and people are like, you can't measure hope. Yes, we do. And we ask them the same question at the end of the retreat that we ask at the beginning. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your hope for the long-term success of your family? And we see them go from 0 and 2s and 3s to 8s, 9s, and 10s. So we strongly believe, and you couldn't talk us out of it, the family has to heal together.
I have been deployed 4 times. You know, in the heat of the battle, you're focused on that at the time, but then after it unwinds, then you start to come back down from your adrenaline high and you start getting reality back in your head. I guess what I did struggle with was not only my own safety, but what my family and kids were going through.
Something major always happens during deployment. You'll hear those families talk about it. Trying to deal with all that by yourself and knowing your spouse is overseas and not knowing what they face, and they change while they're gone too. I guess people don't really quite understand that part.
We understand that when our families come, they're going to have layers of issues, like we all in the military do.
It includes the whole family. Like a lot of retreats, it's just the husband and wife that go away. Well, what about the children? Because our kids are affected by this as well.
So many families need what we do, but there's so much stress on them, and they don't know how to deal with it.
When we came to Eagle Rock that first week, especially Caleb, because he's our oldest, he's 21 now, he said it was just such a relief to be able to be with other families and other kids who have the same experiences that we have.
You know, at the end of the day, Eagle Rock saves lives, and we save marriages. We put families back together. This is important work. We're currently running just a couple of retreats a year, serving 25 to 30 families. These men and women are heroes. Their kids are heroes for America. We have a wait list of over 800, so we actively could be doing 30 to 50 retreats a year and serving 300 to 500 families a year. You may wonder how you can be a hero. Make donations, help us get where we need to be. The need is great, the outcome is priceless.
Thank you, Scott. Please welcome Lynn Marilla, who is the president of Eagle Rock Camp, to share a little bit about her experience this season with C20 and her video creation.
There we go.
There you are.
Yeah, there I am. Wow, I don't know where to start other than I'm wiping tears again. I've watched that video probably 20 times and it gets me every time. These are some of the most precious people you'll ever meet in your life. And like I said in the video, they're America's heroes. And they're not understood by their local communities. So part of our job is just simply to get the word out. In addition to helping them reconnect, it's really to educate the community, but to help them because they struggle with post-traumatic stress disorder. But within that is a thing called moral and spiritual wounding. And when we first introduced that concept, you could see light bulbs go off with, oh, that's what's really wrong. And they're misdiagnosed with post-traumatic stress, which when you look at it from our standpoint, that's something the VA can't treat. So it goes untreated. And a lot of the traditional therapies for post-traumatic stress don't work on moral and spiritual injuries. But like I said in the video, we believe they were wounded together. They have to heal together. And that's why they come to us. And we incorporate in now that piece of healing the moral and spiritual injury. Once we get them communicating well, handling conflict, building strong relationships, and we teach the children the same things we teach the adults. So the whole family's on the same page by the end of the week.
Thank you, Lynn. So I know that you have had a lot of accomplishment and a lot of success with your families. What accomplishment are you most proud of through this program?
I have to say we have 3. Number one is our divorce rate is less than 3%, and that's consistently over the 8 years we've been doing this. No one else, there's not another nonprofit that we have found or any kind of agency that can claim that. We have had 0 deaths by suicide with the community that are dying at the rate of at least 22 a day. And I think the biggest thing that I'm the most proud of our team is we have participated in averting 16 suicides. One was a 10-year-old child, one was a spouse, 5 active duty military, and the rest were veterans. So we know it works. We know we're making a difference.
So when you look at that and you look at the different challenges that these families come to you with, as far as your participants that have PTSD or traumatic brain injuries or so many of these other challenges, how are you treating that? And then how often do you see that?
It's a big question. To give a shorter answer, I would be comfortable saying 95% of our families struggle with post-traumatic stress, moral and spiritual injury. 75% have brain injuries, and almost 100% of them have some type of soft tissue, back injury, neck injury, lots and lots of muscle injuries. We treat it 2 different ways. We have marriage and family curriculum first, which is what we are most known for. And then once they come through that retreat, we have, this year we are rolling out, COVID didn't let us do it last year. This year we're rolling out couples retreats for the couples to come back and do a deeper dive into the moral and spiritual injury healing. We also pivoted last year and offered 2 retreats virtually. I hate to call them retreats, but 2 virtual healing that moral and spiritual injuries of war. Rather than try to go out and reinvent that ourselves, we are partnering with an organization out of Tennessee called Reboot Combat Recovery that has treated over 10,000 veterans with great success. And we haven't found another organization that can touch their successes.
Thank you. And thank you for all of the work that Eagle Rock Camp is doing. It's truly amazing. I'm seeing pop up through all of the comments, the feedback in response to both you, the video, and the organization overall. So thank you for taking the time with us this evening. We're going to shift just a little bit next to Girl Talk Foundation, who was the class of 2015, coached by Kate Haffey. And remember, if you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I promise we've got a full, robust Q&A time coming for you at the end.
Being a teenager is hard. Being a girl is hard. Being a teenage girl is exceptionally hard. Here at Girl Talk, we strive to empower every girl to find her voice to be the success that she is destined to be. Girl Talk encourages positive and critical thinking, we build character, and we promote self-respect, and we also teach life skills. We are providing a structured curriculum-based program for young girls to go through, and there's different key areas that we focus on. We focus on confidence, we focus on self-esteem, we focus on that parent and daughter relationship, and so I think that Girl Talk has helped me grow with my mom when I went through the program.
The impact I think that Girl Talk has had on the community, it has provided that safe space for girls, and not just girls, but their families, their parents, to get it.
Organizations like Girl Talk really ask the fathers to have that same level of involvement and go in and not be afraid.
I think about at the time when Girl Talk was first introduced to us, I was seeking out a program intentionally to help support my daughter.
It's a big component of what we wanted to do was not just touch the girl. What good is it to touch the girl, but you're not touching mom and dad and siblings and everybody who's helping to build up that young lady. So I think it has helped families help them understand the need of a girl to be self-managed and to be self-aware. And to be socially competent.
It really helped provide her with a toolkit. So every day when she's facing challenges, she can reach back into that toolkit and pick out the things that she needs to help her get through the moment.
I think we've kind of set the tone for what's important to young ladies. And so what's important to them, what I've learned, is to be heard and to be able to get the tools that they need to be successful.
What she got from Girl Talk through the last 8 years was everything that Girl Talk's mission is about. Boundary setting is so important, and teens have to learn that. Girl Talk helped.
The most fulfilling part of being a volunteer for this organization is just seeing the growth of the girls from the beginning of the workshop to the end when they complete the program.
We are building girls to become leaders.
I think for me, it's a humbling feeling. It's a sense of I belong here. Even if you know that you are going through a hard time and you feel like you can't make it, I'm telling you, you can, because I did.
Thank you. Please welcome Alyssa Shepard, Executive Director of Girl Talk Foundation.
Hi, good evening, everyone. The video, I've seen it many times, but that was started to get a little emotional. Girl Talk is very special to me. I grew up with Girl Talk, and I have been with Girl Talk since I was 14 years old. So for me to be able to have participated in C20, it came at a perfect time. Going into this new transition, you know, it definitely can be overwhelming, but my mission is to impact the lives of young girls, to continue this legacy. And one thing I've always told myself is I'm always going to put myself in their shoes.
So, Alyssa, thank you for joining us. So as you reflect on your own Girl Talk experience, which part of the organization contributed most to your successes?
I would say the part of the organization that contributed the most to my success was Janine Davis, our founder. She has provided a lot of opportunities for me while I was in high school and while I was in college. So that community, that family feeling with Girl Talk has helped me get through a lot of different times in my life. And so I would just say that is what contributed to my success. Is we not only work with teen girls while they're in high school, we continue to work with them while they go through college and while they go through life after college. And Janine has stuck by my side for those past 9 years.
Thank you. So you mentioned definitely staying with the mission and trying to lift these girls up and putting yourself in their shoes and really kind of thinking through your organizational goals and thinking strategically. So as you look to grow and evolve the program, what do you need from the community overall to bring the deepest impact to most girls?
Right. What we really need from the community is support through volunteering. And we also need tools and technology. So our program is very interactive, and we like to provide a top tier experience for our girls to go through, so that it's not only sitting and listening to someone talk. We would like for them to be hands-on with different activities. So right now we are looking for different technology. We can't turn a girl away just because she might not have a laptop. That is not in our plan. We want to make sure that every girl can participate in our program. So we are looking at different technology platforms. We are also you can support in our Amazon wish list. There's different tools that we have in there that the girls will need. For instance, yoga mats, markers, poster boards, etc. These are the type of things that Girl Talk needs to be able to run our program. And also one thing that came up, in the CMS school system here in Charlotte is when the kids started to go virtual, they were struggling on how to provide Wi-Fi for kids to be able to attend school. So we have also looked at different Wi-Fi streams. So if we have a girl who doesn't have Wi-Fi, what are we going to do? Are we going to tell her that she can't participate in our program? Once again, that is not in our plan. That is really just not who we are. And we want as many girls, not only in Charlotte, but around the world, to be able to join our program, which last year, 2020, allowed us to look into a virtual platform for 2021. So as we continue to look in that direction, we have to think of those things that we're going to need to create that in-person interactive top tier experience that our past jewels, who we call jewels after they graduate, have gone through. So I would say definitely different materials and support is what Girl Talk needs to run and be successful.
Thank you. And Alyssa, you bring up a great point, and I'll mention this again as we go along, but everyone attending tonight will receive not only the recording of this event, but also links, all kinds of Amazon Smile, anything that you could possibly want to know exactly how to support these 3 organizations going forward. So thank you, Alyssa. Finally, we have Paraguide, the class of 2019, coached by John Stoudinger.
We started Paraguide about 4 years ago, and basically it began because we saw a need that wasn't being met in the community. There's 9,000 people who are blind and visually impaired in the Charlotte area, and there wasn't an organization that was providing swimming, cycling, and running for those folks who wanted to participate in those activities. Just because someone's blind or visually impaired or has an adaptive need doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to participate in some of these events. We've put on guide clinics where we've taught over 200 people here in this area how to guide blind and visually impaired athletes.
Working with Victor Parks has been one of the greatest things in my life. He's been a mentor in many ways. He's one of the kindest people I know, and he helps me be a better father, friend, learning about his struggles and ways that I can help him achieve his goals. And he's not a blind athlete, he's an athlete that's blind.
Chad Roberts is my running partner, my swim partner, and my bike partner. I've been with Paraguide for about 3 years. Being a part of Paraguide has opened up my eyes and I'm really more happier because I have joined Paraguide to do athletic things.
People approach us all the time that either have seen us at an event or they've heard about us from a running club or from their friends, and they think, oh, I want to be a part of that. I want to give back. Helping someone else achieve their goal is often more meaningful than achieving a goal yourself. What's great about our organization is that what we did before the pandemic is very similar to what we do after the pandemic, which is provide opportunities and access to people. And so we've been installing stationary bikes in the homes of our athletes.
I'll tell you, it's overwhelming sometimes when we bring this equipment out to the individuals. You know, the joy that it brings them to have this equipment in their home, to be able to use that, the smile on their face sometimes just, you know, it's a very positive feeling. We find that more than 50% of individuals with disabilities don't get aerobic activity. So having a piece of equipment at home in which they don't have to worry about transportation or a guide to aid them in going outside, they can come right out and get set up on their piece of equipment.
People ask me all the time how they can help us. One way is to become a monthly donor. Another way is to donate equipment. Anyone can help our organization and be a part of the community that we've built that supports visually impaired people as far as accessibility and opportunities.
Please welcome Shannon Houlihan with Paraguide.
Hi there. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you, first of all, to Rodney and his team who put that video together. It's incredible. And thank you to my coaches and to SVP and C20 for making all of this happened for all 3 of our organizations tonight. I really want to thank Victor Parks, who's featured in that video with his guide, Chad. They and their families are both on this call tonight, as well as Sarah and Jermaine Millage, who you see featured on that video as well. They're both visually impaired and they're married to each other. And my co-founder, Paul Harold, is the one that installed those 2 bicycles in their homes. Jermaine is very tall and Sarah is about my height, so they needed 2 bikes in their garage so that they would both have access, which I think we've all learned kind of over the past year what it means when you don't have access to some of the things that maybe you used to, like your gym or just walking outside, when access and opportunities aren't there. So putting these bikes in people's homes over the past year has really been our focus, and it has really, I think, been meaningful to us and something that we will continue to do going forward so that people have opportunities whenever they want to get some exercise. And like Paul says in that video, 50% of people with disabilities don't get physical exercise. And I think we all know that physical and mental health are closely tied and how important that is.
Thank you, Shannon. So overall, how do you feel like the C20 experience from the time during your class and this time again has impacted ParaGuide?
Oh my goodness. Where do I even start? I think, first of all, going through the whole C20 process in 2019, I am biased, but I think I had the best coaches then. And then again, this time around, doing it this way, I think I had the best coaches again. And I'm very biased, but the way that we kind of worked as a team to come together with the idea of how do we frame our story in a meaningful way that resonates with people. Because I do think that our athletes are so special and they have a story to tell, and being coached in a manner that helps me present their story is so important. And it's my honor to be the person that shares their story with you guys and with the world.
So you mentioned that Charlotte does not have a program like this, that ParaGuide is unique in that space. Why does Charlotte need this service that ParaGuide's providing?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. The number of people, and I was just speaking about this with Dana Dre, who's on this call as well, the number of people in the Charlotte area and in the Carolinas that have vision loss is staggering. It's even larger than the numbers that we were operating off previously. And I think that is just so meaningful because it's not something that maybe you think about in your daily life unless you have someone in your family or a close friend who experiences vision loss. And it's something that really is affecting a large percent of our population. So I think it's very important that we are able to provide these opportunities for these folks. Because again, there wasn't an organization doing this until we started ParaGuide in 2017. So we've got about 4 years under our belt, and now we serve over 70 athletes. We started out with 2. And so we've grown our program over the past few years. And honestly, with our connections to other organizations that support the blind community, but in different ways, like MAB and some other organizations, we're able to form partnerships and figure out a way that we can sort of, accommodate everyone's needs in different ways and refer people back and forth, which is really neat to be in the nonprofit space where we can partner and help each other out.
Thank you. I know this was lifted up just a little bit in the video, but what additionally can the community do to help support ParaGuide and the needs of the visually impaired?
Yeah, our video really says it all, but I'll say it again. What we really need is equipment, and we've had so many people come forward in the past year as they are looking in their garage, or maybe they have a bike that they're not needing anymore, or that someone has outgrown, or maybe they're going to upgrade, or maybe they just are that generous and they just want to donate to our organization. We are always in need of equipment, and then we're always in need of funds to help sort of upfit that equipment and make sure that it's maintained for folks before we put it in their homes. My co-founder, again, Paul Harold, has done a lot of work on our website to make it really easy for folks who want to donate. If you go to our website, paraguide.org, there's a donate button, and you can either click to donate financially, donate equipment, And there's a bunch of different ways to get involved, and we would love for you to check out some of our new features on our website.
Thank you. So thank you to all three of these amazing women that are leading these organizations and sharing your story with us this evening. We're going to take just a little break, let everybody catch their breath. And in the meantime, we're going to give the audience a poll. So we're going to, if you have not done a Zoom poll, you just select the best answer that you think fits. And then we will tally everything up. You get about a minute to do it. So it should be appearing on your screen, and we will check the poll.
The question is, what does the seed in Seed 20 represent?
I still always feel like we need Jeopardy music playing here. Gotta be, we've got to.
In honor of Alex Trebek, may he rest in peace.
We didn't realize this was such a trivia question. It made me very excited to know that it was, so.
All right, just 5 more seconds. So I know it's a tough choice, but you can do it. We got a lot of people on the fence. There's quite a few people that have not voted, so make your choices. Everybody's holding out. I promise it's anonymous. I don't know who you are and how you're
Right.
voting.
I should have led with that.
if that makes any difference. Okay, I think we've got everybody that's gonna jump in and cast a vote.
All right, what did we come up with?
So our results, over half got it right.
Hey,
52% social entrepreneurs empowered. SEED is in fact an acronym.
Very nice. Thank you. Thanks for playing along with us, guys. We appreciate it. At this time, I would love to introduce you to our Seed 2021 lead partner, Debbie Darden, to share more about the additional benefits and outcomes of our Seed 20 program.
Hey, everybody. One of the benefits of Seed 20, particularly for you new people, has been the collaborations that have arisen due to the collegiality of the program. Sorry, my husband's loading the car with some stuff. I'm sorry for the background noise. But anyway, there is such a collegiality that grows among the class members while they're going through the training and then later as they interact with the other alumni. And it just organically has grown into a way that these nonprofits have chosen to collaborate with one another to make their particular missions even that much better in the community. So while we're going to highlight a couple of those collaborations, but while we're doing that, any alum on the call, if you want to drop your collaboration stories in the chat, that'll be great, and people will get to see even the bigger depth and breadth of what we're doing or of this benefit. So the very first winner, Grub to Grub, you heard about them early on if you signed on early. The very first winner merged with Friendship Gardens. And they were both from the class of 2012. So that was one collaboration. Ian Joyce, I see you, Ian, on the call. Hey, from the class of 2016, and Gen 1 has done a lot of collaborating as well. And so I'd like to invite Ian to share with the whole group what he's been up to with Gen 1 and his partners. So take it away, Ian.
Yeah, for sure. And first off, all 3 participants in this Seed to Harvest program, you guys are doing phenomenal work. Those videos are really inspiring. So well done on all the hard work. But yeah, with Gen 1, I think the collegiality that you talked about is something that I've really gotten to experience since 2016 when we won. It's not just about winning, it was about getting a network of nonprofit partners and other executive directors that we could lean into. So we talked with Sil over at Our Bridge, and they helped us with best practices on volunteer screening and volunteer training. I've worked really closely with DigiBridge and Profound Gentlemen just to find support as an executive director, on my journey growing as an ED. And finally, there was another nonprofit, Project One, that came through, and they help give scholarships to single parent students in Charlotte that are going to college. And our mission at Gen 1 is to get talented first generation students to and through college. And so we've actually partnered with them in terms of our through college model. They've given scholarships to a few scholars that are in college, and we have 5 that are applying to their scholarship this year. And it's a significant scholarship. It's $5,000 a year for 4 years. So it's really exciting. The network that we got to learn from of people who are operating in our space, we've gotten to collaborate in some really meaningful ways that would not have been possible without Seed 20 and SVP. So thank you so much.
Oh, no, that's great, Ian. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you mentioned DigiBridge. Alyssa Sharp also told us that DigiBridge has a shared space called Innovation Alley, with She Built This City and Rebuilding Together of Greater Charlotte. And what they do is in that space, they collaborate on programming. They also provide services at DigiBridge for lots of programs in Charlotte, including Our Bridge, Freedom Communities, Boys and Girls Clubs, and others. So we've just been real excited to see that it's not a one and done Seed 20, you get on, you go away, but we've really grown a humongous family of over 150 nonprofits in the community over the last 10 years. And it's just really exciting to see the way that everybody's working together and the impact that they have on doing great things even greater. So now I think we have another poll. Heather?
We do. Thank you, Debbie and Ian. It is poll time again. We promise this is the last one. There's only 2. But Kristen's going to get us all set up and launched here.
How many years have you attended Seed 20 on stage? Hopefully this one's a little easier. We tried to give you a range, so we won't hold you to the exact number. Next year it might be a little harder because you might be beyond your fingers. You can count the years on your fingers. Rough estimate, we won't hold you for it. We're not counting attendance either. So, just go with your gut on this one. Okay, 5 seconds. Please cast your vote. All right. Think we've got everybody that's gonna vote. So a large number of you, including myself, so I'm Kristen Beck, I'm the new executive director for Social Venture Partners. 48% of you have never been on stage, and that's like me, so it makes me feel like I'm in the majority there. Super excited about 2022 and being able to gather again. So we had 48% that have not been there on stage but are planning to be with us next year. 33% 1 to 3 years. 12% 7 to 9 years. So we've got some long-standing veterans with us, and then 7% 4 to 6 years.
Thank you. That's amazing. So what I hear is that we have 48% that are attending next year, right? That's what we talked about? Okay, I just want to make sure. All right, so right now we're going to go ahead and start into our Q&A session. I also did see a few more collaborations come through if we want to share those. But if you have questions for any of our 3 participants this evening, please take this time to drop it in the chat so that we can open it up for conversation. You can also ask the question directly if you choose.
I guess y'all just figured out a really great way to tell everything you needed between the videos and your and your speeches and the questions Heather had for you. And I apologize, I do have a question for Paraguide. So Shannon, how do you and you may have covered this already, how do you choose, how do you recruit people, your athletes, and how do you recruit your guides? And I apologize if you've already.
No, that's an excellent question, and people ask us that question a lot. We are so fortunate to be connected with MAB, who was one of the Seed 20 from the class of last year. And again, Dana Dre is on this call. She was one of the directors over at MAB. And there, Sarah, who's featured in the video, she has blonde hair, she's on the bike, constantly is referring folks to us to help them out, which is one way. Another way, when Dana was working for the VA with the blinded veterans, we were getting a lot of referrals that way, which is, again, a wonderful way that we sort of collaborate in the community that operates in the blind and visually impaired space. Another way, because again, we serve athletes, the majority of them are here in Charlotte, but we serve folks as far as California, New York, Texas, Kentucky, everything in between down to Florida, is word of mouth. As you can imagine, like any other community, the blind and visually impaired community is very tight knit, even across the US. And thanks to social media, you know, there's groups that people belong to. And really through word of mouth is how we've been able to recruit, if you will, or connect with the blind and visually impaired and adaptive community. The way that we've recruited guides is very similar to that. The running community and the outdoor community here in Charlotte is incredible. If you pay any attention to what's going on, there's a run during normal times, there's a run club every night all over town, you know, and these groups of people are so generous and they always want to give back to the community in different ways. And they're always doing different things for different nonprofits. But we've hosted a number of guide clinics with these groups and taught people how to become guides over the past 4 years. And again, like we said in the video, we've taught over 200 just here in Charlotte. And it's incredible. We always welcome new guides, but I feel like we have always an abundance of people who are willing and able. And again, we support people who are as young as 5 years old, who are blind and visually impaired and adaptive, all the way up to almost in their 80s, late 70s. So we support everything, every age, every pace, every skill level. And that's really important to us as far as being inclusive and offering opportunities to all people.
What are you going to ask?
Hey, Heather.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey, I was just planning to read a question from Paul, which is, what was the most challenging obstacle the pandemic has presented for all nonprofits, to give a chance for everyone to just provide their input?
Yeah, Alyssa, can you share first? Would you mind sharing first on that one?
Yeah, sure. I would say the most challenging is not being able to have had our Tailoring Teens for Success program. And I think that was this 2020 was the year that we probably needed to have this program, especially with the different students going through different emotions because they weren't in school. So I think 2020 was able to show us that we can impact girls in other states through virtual. So one way that, you know, I think is good is, even if we are one day holding an in-person program, girls from all over the world can be able to tune in from a virtual platform. And I don't think we would have thought about that had it not been for 2020.
Thank you. Lynn, can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. It's hard as heck to try to deliver a retreat experience virtually. You can't simulate the campfire and silly songs and making s'mores and date night and ladies' tea parties, all the beautiful things, art therapies, all the things that we pack into a week-long retreat. So what we did was we took the opportunity to do two things. One was to get a very robust database that automates our processes. But the more important thing was to solidify the collaboration with Reboot Combat Recovery to teach the moral and spiritual healing. And we can deliver that virtually. They also made the same pivot this past year to deliver it virtually. So we did it with them and we both had great success. Another question has popped up. Do we serve families from throughout the United States? Absolutely. Our families today come from, I'm proud to say, 32 states. We just got our 32nd state with our upcoming retreat in May. They come from all over.
And Lynn, how do they find you? That was one of the other questions that was lifted up.
I was just going to ask you if I could answer that one.
Absolutely.
Right now, it's word of mouth, and we have over 800 families on our wait list, and we don't do any recruiting. That's just word of mouth from other families that have come. A good example is right now we have a more senior officer coming from the 82nd Airborne down at Fort Bragg. He's active duty. And we've also been talking with the lead chaplain down there, and we don't know what this is going to lead to, but all of a sudden, this huge active duty special operations group is interested in sending active duty members to us. And keep in mind, active duty troops have a divorce rate typically in the 80 and 90 percentile range. Our divorce rate's 3%. So we'll have a greater impact with them than any other group.
Thank you. Shannon, I think there's a few that have come through for Paraguide as well. Do you want to start off with the pandemic question? Unmute yourself first and then start over.
Thank you, Heather.
Absolutely.
Sorry about that. Oh, I got excited. I think the biggest challenge for us, as you can imagine, what we do is super physical, and it is super kind of close physical. And we use a tether that's about this wide, or this distance. And so our biggest challenge in the beginning was, okay, what do we do to overcome that? And so that's kind of when we started with putting home fitness equipment at people's houses, because during the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of people weren't even going outside. It was very unsettling for a lot of folks. So we were bringing fitness to them at home. Now that the world is kind of easing outdoors a little bit more, we have learned how to run with masks on, which I don't know if you guys have tried doing that, but like putting a mask on to walk around is challenging at first, and learning to do that while running and while giving out verbal commands is also challenging. But like anything else, practice makes perfect. Julie Akis is on this call tonight, who I mentioned in my speech, at my pitch at C20 year before last, and she and I are running tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. So, when there's a will, there's a way. And like everyone else, we've just had to pivot and kind of make a few adjustments and take some things virtual, some of our team kind of building activities and whatnot. But, we're still out there making things happen.
I know a lot of this information we can find on your website too, Shannon, but anything that you're in need of right now that's kind of above and beyond other items that you would like to have donated at this time?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, again, kind of with the fitness equipment, and what we have really learned, especially over the past month or so, is that if you've ever been in a gym and those recumbent bikes where you kind of sit and your feet stick straight out in front of you and you pedal, we have put a bunch of those into people's homes recently. It's usually for people who are a little bit older, and we want to make sure that they're safe on the equipment. And maybe they don't want to get up and swing their leg over a traditional style bike that's attached to a bike trainer. During this time, now that people are kind of bringing fitness to their homes and people are buying Pelotons and smart trainers and all this stuff, so they're upgrading to some things, and they're getting rid of their dumb trainers, if you will, a trainer that you hook up to a bicycle and you just pedal your feet. You don't need any type of technology. So we have gotten a lot of those recently, and we are always happy to accept more. If you buy one of those new, they're about $500, even the dumb trainer. So the stuff is not free and it's not cheap, and we are always in need of trainers and bikes, and then the recumbent style, when gyms and different people are getting rid of that type of stuff.
Thank you. So I'm going to start to wrap us up a little bit just in the interest of time. But before we do, I want to make mention, you have heard his name a couple of times this evening, but a huge thank you to our video partner, Rodney Scott Media, for taking each unique vision and creating a product that the nonprofits can be proud of. I'd like to hopefully not put him too on the spot, but allow him just a quick moment to say hello to everyone if he can.
I can. Hello, everyone. No, I'll just say that, I mean, it's obvious with the content you're seeing in these videos, how powerful they are. And it's not my doing, it's the content. It's what all of these individuals and organizations are doing to help so many people. And to be asked to partner with all of you has been a great honor. And I look forward to this for a long time. And for all of you that are watching that don't know these organizations and haven't met these people, I can tell you their hearts are full and they are committed. And every time I put together these stories and I listen to both those that head the organizations and the clients that they serve, I'm moved completely. And I also, admittedly, I'll tell you this, I feel like I'm not doing enough with my life. I feel like there's a calling on each of these people's lives that is so incredible. And I want to do more. It is certainly inspiring. You could use a lot of words, but inspiring is one of them. And I'm just proud to be involved. And I'm thankful that, I'll just say I'm thankful that God's allowed me to meet all of you and be part of this, because bringing these projects together is incredible. And the fact that it can be a living, breathing product that people can see 24 hours a day around the world. I love that you tell your stories and we get to do it together. So thank you for letting me be involved.
Thank you, Rodney.
Yeah.
So thank you all again for taking the time to join us. As a reminder, you will receive an attendee email with details and contacts for all three of the nonprofits we heard from this evening. Thanks again to our sponsors whose support has enabled us to provide this program for our alumni. We are also thrilled to offer monthly workshops for all of our past participant alumni, over 160 nonprofits, by the interaction with our community partners. Charlotte is Creative, Brown Cow Web Design, Michelle Bowden with WCNC, Tamara Park with Story Now, and the Queen City Podcast Network. Thank you again to Rodney Scott Media. And if you're interested in learning more about Seed20 or the Social Venture Partners organization, please feel free to reach out to me or our executive director and master poll runner, Kristen Beck, through our website. Last but not least, we have 2 ticket giveaways to Seed20 2022. And so these are 2 tickets each for a free visit to our onstage event. And they are Margaret Crispins and Terry Smith. So you'll receive an email from me regarding your tickets, and congratulations. We look forward to seeing you next spring. Make sure you join us for our final live conversation on April 22nd. You can see the 3 nonprofits that'll be featured there in our last cohort. And you can register for those just like you did for this at seed20.org. Thank you again all for joining us this evening. I look forward to seeing many of you this fall and again next spring. Have a great evening.